Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on PoliWine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. Happy Memorial Weekend. If you are traveling this weekend, please take a little bit of extra time. It is the busiest travel weekend on the roads, high traffic in the skies, and please, we know with the stories that have been coming out in the news lately, there's been a little bit of chaos in the travel of airlines. So please take a little bit of extra time. Please pack your patience and just get to your destination safely. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the good barbecue food, and enjoy the good times. So let's move on to some other stories. This last week, we had crazy weather raging across the U.S. from the Midwest to the East Coast. Tornadoes just had mass destruction, killing 27 people in its path. 19 were in Kentucky alone. Just absolute devastation. And to see the aerial images of the devastation in downtown St. Louis, I mean, you just see row houses with the tops of the houses just completely ripped open, just like filleted open. Our hearts go out to everyone who was affected and just... Careful, guys. We're hitting the tornado season. We have hurricane season approaching, and summer is here. So brace yourself. And it's been crazy weather. So who knows what we're going to get, but just be prepared. Let's get into the world of sports. And this is a perfect Memorial Weekend story. Yes, the Weenie 500. And yes, did we have the Indianapolis race this weekend? Yeah, we did. But that's not what stole the show. It was the Weenie 500. It is the first annual race where 6 Wienermobiles, yes, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles, 6 from different areas of the U.S., Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest, and the Midwest came together on the field of the Indianapolis race, and they were off. But in the final sprint, Slaw Dog, which is great, of the Southeast was the winner. Yes, they took the checkered flag. Go Slaw Dog, Southeast. Hey, that was awesome. I think when I was reading the story, I just thought that was such a great Memorial Weekend story. And who doesn't love a great Oscar Mayer wiener on Memorial Weekend? As a child of the 80s, when I was reading this story about the Weenie 500, all I could think, the songs of the 80s Oscar Mayer jingles were like popping into my head, like, BOLOGNA, and all I wanted is an Oscar Mayer wiener. And those jingles from the commercials that were just part of our childhood that we just was constantly in the background playing. And of course, then you would have like a Kool-Aid commercial. It's just the perfect Memorial Weekend story. So enjoy, and please take a moment and enjoy the Wiener 500. What a fun story. And also, as we're talking about great race, we are approaching the final leg, if you will, of the Triple Crown. Yes, on Saturday, June 7th is the Belmont at the Saratoga racetrack and at the race course. Exciting. Very exciting. Who is going to take it? Is it going to be Sovereignty, who is the winner of the Kentucky Derby? Is it going to be Journalism, who was the winner of the Preakness? Who's going to win it? They were neck and neck in the Derby, neck and neck in Preakness. It's going to be exciting. So, Belmont, Saratoga racetrack, and on Saturday, June 7th. So let's get ready. I had to tell you, I appreciate it a little bit more because I told you several weeks ago in the podcast, I stumbled across that docu-series or reality show, whatever you want to call it, on Netflix, and it was called Race for the Crown. And not to be confused with the Crown show on Bravo years ago. Oh my God, what a great show where they had the moms, winning the the pageant. Oh God, it was so good. But this was Race for the Crowd, and this is where they talk about, we have the jockeys, the owners, the trainers, and the stories about all the people that are kind of behind the the racetrack world. And it was really fascinating. And let me just say something on Preakness. There was one individual that really stood out as the horses were coming out and the owners and the trainers were walking onto the course, or the track, I should say. I don't know why I keep calling it course. On the track, right behind the horses, right before the race. There was one really young owner, and please forgive my name. I can't remember his name, but he was an owner of one of the horses. Now, these horses are ridiculously expensive. Now, on that show, Race for the Crown, some of these horses were like 7 million and more. And this was a young kid, and that was his horse. I don't know if he had other investors in this horse, but he was walking behind that horse as a proud owner. And impressive kid, and a tip of the hat to you. Wow. And I think he made his money as an influencer, so go figure. It was just a rare and impressive sight to see somebody that young as an owner. So kudos to you, young man. And I hope to see you again. It was impressive. It was impressive. I like to see somebody with a goal and they go for it. Well done. Now, in the world of entertainment, there was a story that just came out that was quite the blow to the music world. One of our American rock and roll gods. I mean, you've got Billy Joel, you have Bruce Springsteen, but it was our guy Billy Joel. Yes, the piano man himself was getting ready to go out on a 17-city tour from the U.S. to England, and he just announced in his camp that he had to cancel his tour because he was diagnosed with a neurological condition, a rare neurological condition that can have some life-altering and sometimes even debilitating symptoms behind it. And he was diagnosed with hydrocephalus. Now, there's different classes of hydrocephalus. He was diagnosed with normal pressure hydrocephalus, and where it definitely has effect on cognitive functions, memory, sometimes vision, hearing. It just affects the overall quality of your life. It's day by day. You can have good moments, good days, bad days. But it's where the cerebral spinal fluid builds up. It doesn't really drain. We all have it and it drains naturally. But individuals with hydrocephalus, it does not drain properly. That fluid builds up, causing pressure, intracranial pressure, and it can be very uncomfortable to painful to debilitating. The reason I know this condition very well, I have talked in the past that I have a child that has severe medical and physical disabilities, and she actually has hydrocephalus. And it's something that she was diagnosed at the age of 2. We had the symptoms earlier on, and we were tested, and a lot of other medical issues kind of complicated that diagnosis, but eventually at the age of 2, we were giving that really hard diagnosis and, serve that serving of cold, hard reality. It's a difficult diagnosis. And as somebody who has lived it as a family member and loved one, it will alter the course of his life. It will alter the course of his family and loved ones. And I'm so sorry to you, Billy Joel. It's hard, and it's going to change your life. And I'm so sorry you were given this diagnosis, but there's no cure for this disease. There's treatment, but there is no cure. You can have a shunt placed in if the pressure is bad enough. Sometimes it's meds, whatever your doctor feels best for your plan of treatment. But we welcome you into this community with very open arms, and hopefully if there's exposure and understanding with this condition, maybe down the line it will bring funding for research, because that's really what we need. So we're here for you, Billy. We love you. We are here for you. So continue, play on. Don't give up what you love. And sometimes that your love of music can be what heals us all, right? Now, as as we move into the Memorial Weekend, and if you are traveling or have a little downtime, not a lot of new stuff coming on the weekend, right? Because it's a holiday. But we do have some things that we can review from last week, and there are a few new shows and series that have been released, maybe under the radar you haven't heard about. So let's get into it. Now, this past week, still high profile court cases. We had the Karen retrial, still retrial. I keep saying trial, but it's the retrial in Denham, Massachusetts. It's still really good. Now, not as intense of a testimony, not as dramatic of a scene on the witness stand as we've had some of the previous weeks. It was very technical. We had a lot of experts, a lot of forensic specialists, and giving very detailed testimony. Okay, very technical, very specific, exact, most of it, but a little dry, but necessary, because a lot of defense and sometimes even the prosecution, the slow, methodical chiseling away at some of this kind of allows for other things to kind of break through, like where there's some flaws in the lab work or testing or examination. Was everything on, above bar? Was everything done perfectly or as should have been? Were there some mistakes? Were there some adjustments to some of the evidence or results of some of the lab work along the way? This is what they were really trying to break down this week, and some other things. But will Proctor take the stand? This was a police officer who was in a case trial was built upon before. And is he going to take the stand? This is the major question in this retrial. We don't know, but it should be fascinating. Will Karen Reed take the stand in this trial? Because there's something that's very different between this trial, the retrial, and the previous trial. And that is, which I still to this day can't believe she did it, is that after the mistrial of the first case, the trial, she did a lot of interviews. Now, I don't know if she was paid for these interviews. I cannot imagine how much her legal fees are. I cannot even fathom that bill, that rolling tally. It must be off the charts. But I can only reason that her team cleared that for financial reason. I don't know why, because there was some stuff that could be a little incriminating. And yes, when I was seeing this, I'm like, God, do you don't think that the prosecution is not going to use these interviews in the next trial? They absolutely are. This is what I was thinking to myself watching the documentaries, because I was watching the documentaries. And sure enough, of course, why would anything you say can and will be used against you? And it is being used against her. Her interviews from, there was a really good one on the ID. There was one in here. They are all being used in this trial. So that is a very big difference. Now, a lot of the uncertainty, a lot of the variables that could cause doubt in some of the evidence, in some of the investigation, could that create doubt? I think so, personally. I think there's definitely some questionable things that make it difficult for me to say guilty without a reasonable doubt, right? And this is what keeps me on the hook and everyone else. So, it's been fascinating. A little dry this past week, but all in all, it has been a very good trial. And let's not forget, we've also had the Diddy case going on. Yes, the Diddy trial is happening. Let me tell you, reading the transcripts that have been coming out, it is detailed. It is graphic. Some of the testimony is a little hard to hear. It is. In my opinion, I don't care what anyone says. You can some Cassie definitely seemed like a tortured woman in this relationship on some level. On some level. You can say what you want. I don't see how you can look past that video at the hotel where she's getting beaten. The mind, I mean, there's so much psychological damage that they really have to have the top experts break down for the jury. You have to. This relationship between Diddy and Cassie, toxic and complicated. But when you hear the other people coming in, like Don Rashawn and guys that used to date Cassie when they were Diddy, other people who worked for Diddy Combs and saw the abuse, it's a lot. It's a lot. Now, there's no cameras or recording in the courtroom. It is a federal case. But when the transcripts are coming out and you hear the news kind of on the news when they break it down, they'll pair it with like an AI voice reading the transcript. And to me, that AI voice reading that detailed, sensitive information is so creepy. There was one thing that I had to say, and that is probably one of the greatest names of a drug dealer I've ever heard. And that is, it came up that in some of the testimony that I guess Diddy had this drug dealer that would show up with his accoutrements, essentially, that he requested for of his drug buffet, and he would show up and put it on this like Louis Vuitton bag, and his name was One Stop. So during the testimony you keep hearing about One Stop, One Stop, One Stop. Is not like the greatest name for like a drug dealer? It's like the convenience store of drugs. You know, you need this, you need it, I got it. I'm One Stop, I got it. You need it, I got it. So One Stop, great name, and just constant calls out on that guy. So other than that, it's pretty intense testimony, and it goes on. Will Diddy take the stand? Should be interesting. He might. I still refer back to that Murdoch case that we had last year. Remember the South Carolina attorney who was convicted of murdering his son and wife? You would have never thought that this man would have taken the stand. And he did. Did I watch that court case? You know, I watched that trial. And when that man took the stand, my jaw was on the floor. Oh my, this guy really thought that he could spin this testimony and make everyone believe him. It was insane to me. When you heard him speaking on the stand, this is that Murdoch, the lawyer himself, who stood in that courtroom for many, many years and many, many trials. He was like, yeah, I got this. I'm going to convince all these people I'm innocent. I think this is what he must have thought in his mind. But when he was on stand, I was like, dude, you look so bad and guilty. Even if you had any chance of being innocent, you just sank yourself in this testimony. The just absolute arrogance and ignorance of that man to take the stand was just absurd to me. And, not only by the preponderance and evidence presented at that trial, but just that testimony sank that man. Now, if you moved on from the court cases, let's get into this little bit something. We've got some shows, we got some series. A couple weeks ago, Netflix released a little mini series called 4 Seasons. I did not know as I was watching it that it was kind of like a 2.0 version of a series that came out in the 80s. Yeah. Alan Alda, the guy from MASH. Yeah, MASH. He wrote this years ago and did a series. They redid it with Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, amongst a fantastic cast. I really liked it. It was really good. It's where 4 couples, where several individuals met in college and they've all stayed friends. They gather together a couple times a year for vacations where friends and family come together and have fun. And it's been for a couple decades since they've graduated college. So they've lived through marriages, children and the ups and downs of life, but they've all remained friends and they get together. It's a really good story. But it starts off, and Steve Carell was one of the couple, and his wife, who is, God, the SNL cast, just great in this. Of course, it was Tina Fey. So, of course, you have to have the SNL alum. He says on the first trip, I'm leaving my wife. And it just it sets the course differently from what they all know. So now when they vacation together, it's not the same couples. The circle is changing. And I liked it. I thought, and if you hit a certain stage in your life, these things happen. And I was just having this conversation the other day with a friend of mine. When you become a certain age, I'm going to a couple graduations here and a couple days and weeks. And it's just that point in your life. You have friends that you grow up with, and you see them in different stages of life, like marriage, and then they have children and parenthood, and then empty nesters. And then, you have build these relationships with couples. And then when a divorce happened, and it happens in your groups of friends, it always happens. The statistics are there. It sucks. It sucks because you have to choose one, right? Then it just shifts the dynamic of the friend circle, and it's weird, and you have to adapt, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's life. And I just thought that it was really kind of spot on about how life works. Now, of course, it's got a little bit of a comedic twist, and it's Steve Carell and Tina Fey and the SNL. So, of course, it's funny. But it's pretty truthful to life. It really is. But with a little bit of entertainment behind it. Little, fun. I liked it. Now, also on Netflix, we have a new release called Sirens. Now, this has Julianne Moore, Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, you look great. And you just keep getting better. And man, can you play a just charismatic, charming man that can turn in the blink of an eye to a diabolical beast? So good. God, what a good actor. He was so good in this. I love him. You also have a really powerhouse cast on that. You have the girl who was, Millie Alcott. She was, remember, the young Princess Rhaenyra on House of Dragons. You have Megan, was it Fahey? She was a lot of stuff, but I remember her because I'm a White Lotus fan, season 2, White Lotus in Italy. She was really good in it. She plays a really good, let's just say, complicated character. She was emotionally disturbed. She has a lot of emotional damage, and she can play a good crazy character on edge well. And the girl from Millie Alcott, she played her character really well. I really liked her. It was nice to see her something different. I don't know her in a lot of things other than House of Dragons, but I liked her. I think the story was good. I really like that kind of feel of it. You lost me a little bit in and out. It got a little cheesy in areas, but Kevin Bacon, let me tell you, you kept pulling me in. And I really like Julianne Moore. She played a good cult-like leader really, really well. Yeah, she was good. She was good and dirty. Julianne Moore was good in that. And she played a great passive aggressive, but a driven woman, but just really twisted. And she plays it really well, similar to the role of Nicole Kidman in that show, 9 Perfect Strangers. Yes. Have you seen that? On Hulu, they just released season 2 of 9 Perfect Strangers. Now, I had to go back and look at it because it was a while ago. Season 1, really good, came out in 2021. Couldn't believe it. I'm like, what was that, like a year and a half ago? No, 2021. Remember that? It had Nicole Kidman, it had Melissa McCarthy, a really great cast where everybody went to this retreat, that this perfectly calculated group by Nicole Kidman, who is a scientist and maybe I would say psychologist too, but mostly a scientist. She cultivated this group to come together, study them, microdose and drug them without their knowledge, and put them in scenarios and different environments to challenge them, but help them through their emotional recovery, emotional blockages, whatever their psychological hangups were. She was using this type of drugging or medication, if you will, although not necessarily legal, to research them, study them, and fix them. Because she said that that type of treatment helped her after the death of her daughter. That was season 1. Season 2 starts up, spoiler alert, where she is kind of at a TED Talk. This guy confronts her and he was like, if you want to continue your research, because she's, facing a lot of legal stuff, like she's subpoenaed as she's coming off the TED Talk stage, or in the back room. Excuse me, my allergies are terrible here. As she was coming off the TED Talk stage, she was subpoenaed. And this guy's like, comes out from the audience and says, if you want to do your research without a lot of rules and boundaries and restrictions, you need to come abroad. We're waiting for you. And we have limitless means for you to do your research. She says, perfect. Next thing you know, she's off to the Alps in this beautiful, gorgeous chateau. And they kind of say it's more in Germany, but I think it's Austria. It's filmed in Austria, just absolutely gorgeous. And what a cast. What a cast. Again, she's studying. She's totally made this group that she's going to work together. And here they come to this grand, luxurious resort to stay. And yes, they're being studied. And it's a wellness retreat. What an amazing cast. First of all, you have Nicole Kidman. You also have Murray Bartlett, remember? He was the guy who's Armand, season 1, White Lotus. God, he was so great. He plays emotional, neurotic character on a full breakdown. He plays that character excellent. He really does. That's how he was as Armand, lost his cool, totally went off the rails. He's already doing this in 9 Perfect Strangers. Love him. You also have Mark Strong. God, he's been in everything, just a great actor. You have Annie Murphy, remember? From Schitt's Creek. David. She is Imogen, and she is the emotionally and psychologically scarred child of the very wealthy Christine Baranski. She is the most perfect rich wife character that just kind of, hops from one husband to the next. I was going to say like monkey bar, but she essentially like monkey's bars from one wealthy husband to the next, to the next, to the next. And Annie Murphy is the character Imogen. And they hate each other and they fight. And we're off to the races. What a good cast. There's tons of other characters on the show, but it is so good. I've already seen a few of the episodes. They've only dropped a few, 2, and I'm loving it. You made us wait for so long, Hulu, but well worth the wait. Season 2, 9 Perfect Strangers. Now, let's move over to our world of Bravo and reality TV. So, we were talking about just the other week that Bravo has announced that they are releasing some new shows coming up in the lineup. We talked about the new Housewives of Rhode Island coming out. It's going to be good. But this one sounds really good. It is a hybrid of like Housewives and Wife Swap. If you haven't watched Wife Swap, oh my God, please do. It's so good. They take 2 people from the 2 complete opposite ends of the spectrum and throw them together. If you have like an evangelical Christian, they'll put them with like a pagan or a Wiccan or something like that, and then put them together. Oh God, it was so good. Celebrity Wife Swap, even better. I won't forget years ago, I was in this stint for the hospital for a while. And you know, when you're in the hospital, you are limited to the channels that are on the TV. Limited. And I had couldn't watch the news anymore. I do enjoy a little bit of telenovela, but there was like this whole marathon. It could have been a channel. I don't even know, but it was all wife swap and celebrity wife swap. Did I watch that for several days straight? Yes, I did. Celebrity wife swap, by far the best. And I will never forget the one, was it with Jermaine Jackson? I think it was Jermaine Jackson. I don't think it was Tito. I think it was Jermaine Jackson, who was a hoarder. Oh my God. Your poor wife at the time, who's now your ex-wife. Oh, everybody felt bad for her. And wasn't it Coolio? I think Coolio was on there. The RIP. Coolio, your music was amazing. He was a challenge. That guy seemed very difficult to live with. It was a beauty. It was a beauty. But so we're going to get a little bit of that. The hybrid housewives, wife swap. Oh, God, so good. And if you've enjoyed The Valley so far, we're going to get a little bit of a mix of that too. Yes, another hybrid. Are we enjoying the mashup? Yes, we are. This is going to be kind of a little bit of a spinoff from the Shaws of Sunset. Now that that's gone, some of our favorites are still around. We're going to have Reza, yes, his girl MJ, and Gigi. Those three, they're coming back, and it's going to be kind of a valley setting. So it's going to be the Shahs in the valley kind of feel. And I like it. I always really liked Reza and MJ. There was a realness about the friendship. They have been friends since like high school. They knew everything about each other. Their families are like families. And it was so sad to see that fallout between those two. It's really sad to see a true love like that. And yeah, friendship of a lifelong friendship. That's love. And to see a love like that fall, it's just heartbreaking. And I I have seen in interviews like they have come together. Is it the same? I don't know. I hope they are where they used to be. I don't know if you really can be. There's a lot that happened with MJ's husband, Tommy, and Reza. I don't know if we could ever be the same again because of that. Maybe, maybe not. MJ and Tommy are still together, which I think is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Gigi's changed. So you got a lot of the other mess out of the way. I don't know or anything about Mike and some of the other guys. We don't really need them at all. Those are the three. Those are the gems of the show. Keep them there. So I think I'm ready. The Shaws in the Valley. I like it. So far, the Valley's been good. Bring me, it's the same thing. You have a few people from Vanderpump that into the Valley. So you have a little bit of stories and the people we already know. And then you bring a little bit of mix of some new in there. That's what worked with the Valley. And a whole lot of marriage drama. That really was the key to success of season 1. You got Hot Jax and you got the hot mess with Jess and Michelle. She speaks so staccato. She's so beautiful, but I'm like, speed it up in the talking. Oh my God. But that's been great. So I think we're going to get a nice formula with the Shaws in the Valley as well. So I am ready for those two beautiful, beautiful lineups there. Now, speaking of some of the stuff that we know, we just had the Summer House finale, and it was really good. I think, Summer House does a tie-up and like a full circle of closure at the end of the season, I think probably better than most of the shows on Bravo. You have the kickoff of the summer, and then you have the closing. And last year, we had the breakup with Lindsay and Carl. And this year, you have the breakup with Paige and Craig. You have the whole situation with Lindsay. This little girl powwow at the end of the episode was my favorite moment. Was my favorite moment probably of the whole season. And there were really good girl moments this season. I think so. The girls really stuck together. I liked it. Everybody, said it every episode. Everybody loves Pregnant Lindsay. Pregnant Lindsay is great. And this end of the season, okay, sure, you've got the end of the summer, you've got the guys saying goodbye, partying up. I hated this whole gross scene with Jesse after the breakup with Lexi. It just jumps right into the deep end with the girls at the party. I didn't like that. I'm just like, be a little respectful, do what you want, but she's still right there. And you guys just broke up. And even though she broke up with you, there's still feelings, okay? So be a little respectful. But of course, he wanted to jump in and get right back to the dating scene and prove it right in front of her, which is so pathetic. I didn't like that, but we get the normal closing of the party house scene. But I love the end where Amanda and Paige go to see Lindsay and the new baby. You know, she just had the baby. It's about a month later, which is about the right time to go visit a baby. You got to give the new mom and the new parents a couple days, weeks to kind of get into the groove of new parenthood. It's different when you have more than one, but that first one, you got to figure it out. So I love that they come to see, they're all together, cheering them on, and then they get into it, you know? So Amanda, how are the things with the business and how are the planning with the babies? And she's like, I don't know if I'm ready to have a baby if I'm taking care of an adult baby. I don't know where I am and I don't know if I'm ready. And it's probably a good thing that Amanda's seeing where Lindsay is having a baby, because if you're on the fence, go see one of your closest friends and how they're handling new parenthood and see if that's something that you truly want to take on. Seriously. And with Kyle, that's the big one. And then Paige talking about her breakup with Craig. And it was pretty real. And I think it was as honest as you can get. I like Paige coming into her own. She's always come to her own, but saying this is not okay and I'm not going to compromise in a relationship, because at the end of the day, compromising is holding me back and I'm not happy, and I see it and I'm aware of it. And now that I've stepped out of the darkness and I'm in the light, I can see it and I'm beaming again. So good on you, Paige, and go ride off into the sunset and ride high, because right now you're killing it and you are riding high. And then Lindsay, I love how honest you are. And at the end, we're like, oh my God, when Danielle's kind of being a little shitty, like, this is the end, you got to admit it's the end. And she's like, stop it. I don't want to admit it's the end, but I guess it is the end. You know, I'm now in a different stage of my life. I'm having a baby. I'm a parent. I can't really live in like a party house as a new mom. Like, it's just, how's that going to work? And how am I going to make my money? And what's the next part of my life? These are the things that new parents all battle for sure. And her seeing her go through that, and pretty relatable moment for many. And then saying, you know, as a new mom and somebody who got pregnant in kind of a new relationship, he's a great parent, but we're kind of having some difficulties and doing this together in a relationship. And if I didn't get pregnant right away, I don't know if we would have done this or if we would have even worked out as a couple. Pretty real, right? And then we start seeing some stuff about the reunion. First of all, let me just go back. So here they are, they're cheersing. And let's not skip the scene where Paige is like, I want to try your breast milk. And they do. Ew. Ladies, I know you want to support your friend, but I am not drinking anybody's boob juice. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. I'm not drinking your colostrum. I'm not drinking your milk. I'm not doing it. I wouldn't drink my own. Ooh, very bold, you know. But of course, Amanda's like, it's not bad, but maybe cold was better. Warm was too fresh out of the tap. Ugh. But that was kind of funny, and they're toasting, and I thought that was such an awesome way to end the season. And then we have scenes, you know, previews from the reunion, and everybody looks beautiful. And then they start asking Lindsay, so what's her boyfriend's name? Turner? How's he? How are you doing? You just see her like, I don't know if they broke up, but it seems like from her reaction that they break up. And it's a touch of reality. And if anybody's going to be honest and real about it, it's going to be Lindsay. She's been pretty straight up about all this stuff in the past, and I like it. So I'm excited to see the reunion. I want to hear truly what happened behind the scenes with Paige and Craig. I want to hear about this new chapter in Lindsay's life and how she's dealing with it and parenthood and, profession. And it's going to be a great reunion. So enjoy your weekend, catch up on your shows, and please be patient getting wherever you are or getting to wherever your destination may be this Memorial weekend. Take a little time, enjoy the fun. And so thank you so much for joining us today on PoliWine. So please follow us on PoliWine Time, and please listen to PoliWine wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye. Happy Memorial Day.